The Book of Regrets is a small, simplistic, dark adventure game that has an interesting story. The game has you playing as a character who awakens inside of a dark dungeon, and you start to explore it, soon running into the Angel of Death, who ends up tasking you with trying to prove yourself so you can end up getting back to your world. To accomplish this goal, you must explore through the various rooms, interact with switches, deal with monsters, or sometimes talk to monsters, in order to get items, and then eventually face off with the Angel of Death, seeing if you are strong enough to be worthy of actually making it back to your world. The game is all about your choices. There's a bit of text and then you'll have to decide, do you want to go left or right? Do you want to go into this room or that room? Hit the switch or not to hit the switch? When dealing with monsters, do you attack right away and then hope that they don't end up somehow stopping your attack? Or do you try to use some diplomacy in order to talk them down? There isn't necessarily a ton here. There's a handful of the creatures that you'll have to deal with and only a small selection of rooms that you'll explore. But with that said, there's actually more to it than I actually thought there would be. There's a few really cool moments in the game, one of which involves a demon, but I don't want to spoil that here. Due to the game being heavy on the different dialogue choices, there are a variety of different endings and ways for the game to play out, and there's plenty of ways to just straight up fail and end up dying. The game auto-saves every time you go between rooms though, so if you do end up failing and dying, you can get back to the beginning of whatever room you just entered. Once you get the gist of how the progression works, you'll easily be able to get between the rooms, find a new object, go back to a previous room to open up a new door, and thus so on and so forth till you have all the objects you need to take on death. Once I got the hang of things, it took about an hour and 10 minutes in order to get through the game and face off with the Angel of Death with the right amount of items that I needed. Since the game does have multiple endings and ways for things to play out, it does encourage replaying the game a few times and trying out the different choices. I died a few times during my initial playthrough, but still was able to complete things in the time I mentioned. From the technical side of things, the game didn't crash on me, but there was one point in the game where you have to interact with a control pad and the controls completely locked up. None of the buttons would end up working and I was unable to go back, so I had to quit out of the game and come back in. The Book of Regrets is available now on the PlayStation 4 for $4.99. It has a full trophy list, including a platinum. Overall, there's not a ton here with Book of Regrets. Thankfully, the price isn't very high, so for those who like a dark adventure game with a bunch of choices, you may end up liking it. I ended up finding it interesting and somewhat amusing as I played through it, and did enjoy it, even if the ride was over way too quickly. The game does what it's trying to do pretty well, and doesn't do anything inherently wrong. There just isn't a lot there. With everything said though, I'm going to be giving the Book of Regrets a 6 out of 10. But anyway guys, it's going to wrap up this review. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course I hope you enjoyed.